What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of That Scuffed Up, episode 21, coming right at you here today. We have finished the Week 3 series of games. We are headed back to the Great Park for Week 4. We got a lot of results to share with you, stories are coming with, and, as always, myself, Justin Lee, and Stephen Hayden as the host of the show. My partner on the other side, how are we doing today?
We're doing all right over here, just getting ready for another week. I'm glad to be heading back to the Great Park. Glad to be giving out some awards to people this coming week. Depending on what the award is, your people are going to get some certain stuff. So we'll see what happens back at the Great Park.
We love to hear it. Sports news world. Angels suck. College football is back, and it's been a pretty exciting week. NFL starting up in a week later, and we got Anthony Agrusa heading up to New York. He's already back, but it's awesome to be able to head back to the OSU Great Park and finally play where we usually play our games. Natural grass and a dirt field, and inside the softball stadium where we once were. No longer a small, tiny little turf soccer field. We will finally be back at home this week, so make sure you guys go to Irvine Great Park and not Huntington Beach, because we will not be there at Huntington Beach.
I mean, we could.
We could, but then everybody else would be at the Great Park.
If you want to get some practice on your own, bring all your own gear. You can go out to the Huntington Beach.
Okay, if you want to forfeit games, you can go to Huntington Beach and practice. There you go.
Yeah, I'll go there and I'll bring out my fast pitch stuff and I'll start carving everybody up.
Start our own league. Let's do it. Anyways, so Steven opened a pack last week. I actually got my packs this week for MLW. So let's go ahead and open these bad boys up and see what we got in here. I actually got 2 packs, so I've got more cards for this one. So let's see. So we got first Drew Davis of the Cobras. Steven probably knows more about him than I do.
You don't know much about him?
We got Zach Whalen of the Eastern Eagles. Trevor Bonham.
If you got questions on any of these guys, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just let you open the pack.
I think how about you just chime in, and then I guess whoever you see is like.
Let's see you pack first. We can go back and review it at the end.
All right, we got Caden Irwin.
See if you pack any special ones.
Let's see. Yeah, we're getting closer. Oh, here we go. Jack Eigner, looking cool with the. Agner. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. We got Warda. There we go. I think you had that one too, actually.
Yeah.
And then Stephen McGlade, the Predators, another Predators player there.
That one.
We got Michael Shima, Downtown Diamondbacks.
Michael Shima. Wow, that man won a World Series for the Diamondbacks. Disrespect.
Nick Seiler. No, I'm just kidding. Sailor. Okay.
No special cards yet.
We got Ty Smith.
I thought the pack was like only eight players per pack.
Oh, we got another Ty Smith. Well, we got 2 packs, so it's 16. Oh, here we go.
Guys, he's cheating. He's already opened them.
Here we go. Dallas Allen. There's one pretty good one. Oh, here we go. Tommy Coughlin. There we go. All right,
it's not Coughlin. It's Coughlin.
Oh, Coughlin.
It's not like you're actually coughing.
Whenever I see that name, it's always pronounced Coughlin. That's so weird. Anyways, Ryan Cratched. That's a pretty good one. And then here's the special one. So we got star-powered Dallas Allen on there. Not bad. Okay. And then we got a rookie card, and we got Sawyer Bean. Rookie cheat code, it says on there. So,
okay.
That's not bad.
Get an interesting one. Looks like you probably get like 1 or 2 special ones each pack.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Your thoughts? Anybody you want to highlight in those card packs?
I mean, the last 2 cards look pretty cool. The Sawyer Bean cheat code. He's known mainly for his violent drop pitch. That's kind of considered a cheat code, and then Dallas Allen really gonna that one's very similar to my Brendan Baranowski one. It was in terms of the star power one. Both of them were the starting pitchers in each of their respective for the American League and National League in last year's All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you got any questions on any of those guys, let me know, because it seems like he didn't know a whole lot about some of those guys.
Well, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is like I'd probably give you these cards because you're going to the York tournament.
Oh, sweet, thanks. I'll keep them.
Get some signatures on there. That'd be cool. I guess. How about Jack Agner?
Oh, you don't know Jack Agner?
Well, I know who he is, but like, you got some cool details about Jack Agner?
I think he's like the same age as you and I.
Okay.
Graduated right around. So is guys like Tommy Coughlin as well. They're right around the same age as us. Jack Agner was one of the first people to be in the league. Was originally with the Pacific Predators. Then 2018 and 2019, he when the league expanded, he became the captain of the Magic. Has been really their only player. Has been the only player to stay there. They've been through a lot of turnover. The most recent series they just played, he actually hit a couple home runs as they played their series in St. Louis to get a series win and clinch the division title for the regular season.
Pretty sick, actually. Yeah. There's some good details on that guy.
Not the best player. I mean, pitching is questionable at best. He's best known for the duck hook, a little slider pitch, but not really much of a pitcher. Hitting wise, he's more of kind of a home runner out kind of guy or a strikeout kind of guy. He can get on base a bit, but overall doesn't have the best average numbers.
He was part of the All-Star game this season, if I'm correct. Yeah.
He's been part of some All-Star games. He's a good player.
Okay.
And he's a fan favorite. He's a fan favorite because the All-Star games are all voted on by fans and stuff, things like that. So he's one that the people like to see and hear from. He also is a co-host on the MLW podcast that they have as well. Actually.
Oh, okay.
Him and Tommy Coughlin, they do the Pipe It Up podcast.
Pipe It Up.
Which it used to be run. Started off being run by a guy like Drew Davis and Ryan Crashed. Kyle was in there for a little bit, but then since about like episode somewhere in the 60s or so, it got taken over by Tommy and Jack, and they've been going with it ever since. I think they're somewhere in like the 120s or 130s now. I was actually just listening to it today.
Oh, okay. So you're keeping up with that kind of stuff.
I like listening to that. You get some.
They just came. They just came out with their latest video too.
Yeah, they did. They just were in what's it called? They were in St. Louis playing in a independent league stadium.
And it was two first game and second game were both walk-offs, and then the other one was a blowout.
Yeah, I could go on for a while with that, but this is more of a. I can go on a while for some of the frustration of why that happened, why that last game was a blowout. But,
yeah, I mean they had a pretty big crowd for every single one of those games.
You know, their original plan, it was supposed to be they played two games like early afternoon or something like that, and then. The team, the baseball team that actually plays there, was supposed to play a game, and then nighttime they were going to play their third game, which they did. Only thing is, their baseball game got canceled. There was some. I think there was bad weather that day, so they ended up not playing. They ended up not playing, and then they decided to. But they kept going on with the. With all of the with the MLW stuff, make sure, because they're not going to be around there all that often, so they decided to still get it in.
Okay, well, I guess the two biggest ones is Tommy Coughlin and Ryan Cratch. With these two, I think they've been around for probably the longest, especially Cratch because he won the home run derby, if I'm correct.
Well, I mean, Tommy was one of the original was one of the original five to start off the league.
Yeah.
It was just said in the video. Cratch first joined the league in 2016.
Whoosh.
And he's a couple years younger. He still plays college baseball, so he's a couple years younger than guys like Kyle and Tommy, who are both like our age.
Yeah. Well, there it is. The MLW packs. Those are pretty cool, so I'll send this to you later, and you can take this with you to York, Pennsylvania if you want to get those signed.
And then I'll lose them.
No, you're gonna keep them and sell them on eBay. I know what you're gonna
do. Okay, cool. Thanks.
We can split the profit.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Wonder how much we can get out of it. Let's see. All right. Well, anyways, to our regular scheduled part of the broadcast today, we got the schedule, week 3 stuff that we got to talk about today: Division 1, Division 2, and Purple League. I don't know which one you want to start off with, but we got also you want to talk about your latest series at the beach that just released on the Socal Wiffleball YouTube channel. So I'll let you pick which one you want to go with.
Let's focus on the league. Let's focus on the league for a little bit first. I got a lot of teams played. A couple teams had some byes, but some big shakeups in the standings, especially in Division 2. Some big movement around there. So let's get into that.
All right, perfect. So, as always, we'll start off with Division 1, taking a look at what we had for Week 3. First game on the docket, the Avocabros taking on the Beach City Bombers. In this game, Avocabros coming off a 1-2 record, including the Beach City Bombers, who are off to a very rocky start after winning the World Series in the summer. They take this one in a pretty big way, winning 11-6 against the Avocabros. Your thoughts about this game?
Pretty high scoring game. I mean, that's what you get with the Avocabros. Not as much as they normally have in some of their games, but there's still a good amount of runs. Both teams were hitting the ball. This is 7:30 time slot, so the wind was just starting to die down. Overall, just kind of watching between all 3 games going on at the same time. I don't have the best expertise on every single game. But from this one, it looks like the Beach City Bombers are starting to get back on track and figure things out. They got shut out. They got 13-2. It was kind of a pretty bad loss against the MS Warriors last week. Who they had the week off this week. Beach City Bombers, they were able to bounce back. I know it's kind of starting to formulate that top 4 or 5 in the standings. Just trying to find their spot right now. They sit fifth. They sit 5th right now, tied in record with the Trash Pandas. So maybe that'll be a matchup we've seen soon. They've lost to 2 of the top teams, like the Lily Wolves of MS Warriors. And so we'll see what the Beach City Bombers are. They're still. I think they're trying to get over a little bit of that World Series hangover right now. I think they're starting to get the handle of things, but they still have to play some teams like Shepherd's Pie and OC Wolves of LA, who are both at the bottom. But who knows how those could go. In terms of the Avocabros, but I feel like their pitching has struggled a little bit compared to even last year. They've never had the best pitching, but it seems like they're giving up a lot more runs now compared to what they were last year. I mean, they've already in 5 games they've already given up 69 runs. I'm trying to find a calculator to try to figure out how many runs that is, but not a good start. Not a good start for them. Not something you want to see. I mean, they're allowing nearly 14 runs a game. It's not what you want to see, especially for a Division 1 team. The fact that they're 2-3, they've had a couple close games in which they've come out on top, but I think their pitching needs to find its way again. I think Lucas Sardo has not had the best start to the season pitching wise. If I look at my pitching stats correctly, wherever they are, Lucas Sardo's he's at a 24.55 ERA to start off the year. 6 2/3 innings, 27 runs allowed. It's not the way you want to start off the season, especially for their main pitcher, being Lucas Sardo. So I think they need to work on some of the pitching to get it turned around, because now they're not in Division 1. You don't always have the chance to play some of the weaker teams that are maybe in the past that will maybe be in Division 2 now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, we're looking at the competition level, and I think we kind of understood that this narrative about, it's going to be super competitive for a lot of these teams that were kind of middle of the pack a season ago during the summer. And maybe that's starting to come out pretty early here. It's only 3 weeks, so we're not, to the halfway point in the season yet. And I'll talk about Avocados a little bit more, but they had a doubleheader, so they do have a second game on our schedule, which we'll get to in a second. Going back to Beach City Bombers, though, yeah, I mean, they're just kind of finding their groove. It's still, fairly early. Like I said, Zach Moore, 4 home runs. He's kind of been the big hitter for them thus far this season. And maybe the pitching just hasn't been what it looked like before. But I think the other part is just kind of like, the support players that they have behind once you get through Tyler and Zach Moore. You're looking for them to kind of kick into gear a little bit more, get some more hits and runs on there. So I think that's just kind of the biggest key for them, is trying to get those guys, some chance to get some more hits. The one guy, Will Control, hasn't been looking too strong since like a season ago. I mean, the biggest guy right now is Luke Beeler with a 375 batting average. He's got 3 hits out of 8 at-bats. He's probably been like the highest player on the Beach City Bombers, but after Tyler Moore, Zach Moore, and all those guys. So it's, you look at it, it's a big stark difference between the batting averages between the top 2 players on their team and then the rest of the support guys. So I mean, kind of would want to see them to kind of figure it out and start kicking into high gear, because we will get to some way halfway through the season, and if you fall behind in Division 1, it's going to be really tough for you to catch up pretty early, and I'm sure that's going to be the narrative that we talk about later on down the road.
Yeah. I mean, just with the Beach City Bombers, you have your top 2 hitters, and Tyler and Zach hitting extremely well. And we kind of saw this a little bit with the LOC last year. You had your top guys doing really well, and then there seems to be a big drop off after that, going into your 3rd and 4th guys, which you kind of need. Ryder Johnston had over 500 at batting average last year. So far, only has 3 hits on the year with a 167 average. Luke Beeler's only been there. It appears for one or 2 games, he's tied for the 3rd most hits on their team, less at bats as well. So it's just gonna be about getting everyone there and find a proper place for these guys. Because with the World Series, it was more of Zach and Tyler trying to keep things low in terms of how many runs they give up pitching, and then it was just about them getting 1 or 2 timely hits. And so far, you can't live off that formula forever. At some point, you need to have more consistent offense, and especially when we saw Zach Moore pitch 10 innings in the World Series and get 24 strikeouts. We're just seeing he's kind of going back to his regular season numbers. Zach Moore so far, 10 innings pitched, 7 runs allowed. He's been struggling a little bit with that speed. And then Tyler Moore so far, 7 innings pitched, 6 runs allowed. So I mean, people are starting to score off them a little more. I think as you get these more Division 1 teams, more people are going to be able to hit against them. So that they're gonna have to figure some stuff out if they want a chance to repeat as World Series champions.
Yeah, definitely. And like, again, it's that kind of competition level that we kind of expected to like understand from this as well. Well, anyways, going into the next game, we got the Trash Pandas and the Purple Huskies taking on each other. Trash Pandas coming off a pretty good week. From week 2, they had a pretty big win. They've been riding a pretty good wave of victories so far. But Purple Huskies has been that team that we've always been looking at. They're trying to repeat an undefeated season here again, and that's exactly what they're doing. They currently stand pretty well in the standings, which we'll get to a little bit later. But Purple Huskies took this one against the Trash Pandas 8-2.
If the Purple Huskies, they're continuing their great start here. Look, I had a little discussion about some of the standings. The runs against is different to what the website says, but they've started off doing really well in terms of their pitching and stuff like that. And they've been able to keep guys off balance that they're throwing to. Drake so far in 6 innings, 6 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, not allowing a single run. Kind of on that similar path that he was to last year. Not pitching a whole lot of innings, but really getting in there and just not allowing any runs. Has been able to keep guys off balance. So that when I saw him pitching against the Purple Huskies, against the Trash Pandas, he was doing a great job keeping those guys off balance as well. And offense, I mean, Purple Huskies they're going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams by the time this is over. They're already getting off to a good start. They're sitting in the 2 spot, only behind by run difference right now to the MS Warriors. With the other Wiffles of OC chasing right behind in 3rd place. The Purple Huskies are going to be a team that continually hits. Joey Ponder's really stepped up on the hitting so far this year. 462 average with 3 home runs already, 588 on base percentage. He's off to a great start. We'll see how long he can keep that up. That'll be the question to see. But so far he's really kind of jumped out as being a guy who's really kind of trying to put this team on his back in terms of hitting. Even a guy like Drake Hoffman's actually up very much in average, which I didn't know. 563 average for him. True's not had the best average this year, but we know he's going to be able to find a way to get those numbers back up. And then for the team like a Trash Panda, we'll talk more about Purple Huskies a little later, because they got another game. But as for the Trash Pandas, I mean, they've been missing their number 1 pitcher Mo Wright so far this year. Offensively, it's a lot different from this past season. They started figuring out stuff as we got to the halfway point. Their hitting numbers aren't quite the same. They had success the first couple weeks playing LA Wolves of OC and OC Wolves of LA. Then they played the Trash Pandas, got shut out, and then they nearly got shut out here against the Purple Huskies, getting 2 runs across. Once they figure out that pitching, and once they figure out exactly who that pitcher is, if Mo's not there, they got to work that out. Andrew Swanson's been pitching been pitching all right for them in the second slot. It's just kind of figuring out who's going to be that second guy behind Blake Fitzgerald in case someone like Mo Wright isn't there. Or if you have a situation where you have an extra inning game that continues on, both those guys aren't available. But Blake actually off to a very good start so far. 3.75 ERA, 16 innings pitched, 34 strikeouts, only 10 runs allowed. So he's off to a pretty good start. But we'll see how the Trash Pandas can continue this into the future. They sit currently in the 4 spots at 2-2. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because they still have to play teams like the MS Warriors, the Purple Huskies, and stuff. And then we'll see how they do against the Avocados and Shepherd's Pie, some of the teams that are below them. So we'll see what's in store for the Trash Pandas. But I think they're off to, all things considered, in Division 1. I think the Trash Pandas are actually off to a good start. And it was good to see that that this game was relatively close and just a 6-run difference.
Yeah, definitely. Just, for the Purple Huskies, that's like the biggest key for them has been, the long ball. Every single one of their players has, at least two or more home runs on their roster, minus, Tyler Gold on his side of things. And they look at the Trash Pandas. Their recipe has always been, towards the very end of the season, was this very strong finish, good pitching, had the bats, and this year I guess it's kind of off to a slow start. I guess they're definitely missing Mo Wright back there, but it's been kind of the Blake Fitzgerald. He has the most innings pitched in the entire league, or Division 1, I should say, so far. So I mean, he's really stepped up in absence of Mo Wright. He's been picking it up for them, but once they get past the 4 innings or 12 outs, and then you have to go to a different guy and it's not Mo Wright, then things can definitely change for the momentum that you've got. And that's just how easy it is, and we've seen it before with the LA Wolves of OC. Steven would pitch whatever innings such so, and then send in a different pitcher, and this was before the Jordan era days, and I would come in, or one of the other guys would come in and give up like maybe 4 or 5 runs, and that would be the difference. Like, you could have one pitcher throw really good and then the other guy not throw so much, which is kind of the reason why Jordan came part of this team. You need to have that 1-2 punch to be able to get through games pretty easily, and it seems like the Pandas have the right ingredients. Maybe they're just waiting for Mo Wright to come back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that team forms out once they have their full roster here. But minus his absence, I'd say this is a good start for the Trash Pandas. They're right in the middle of the standings here, and they've already beaten one team ahead of them in the other Wolves of OC. We'll see what happens in the future for them. And then Purple Huskies, it's just going to be one of those. Either how long can they stay undefeated, or just how things go.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be up there for a while, them and the MS Warriors, because they have a pretty stacked rosters on both sides, and a lot of their support players are getting the job done. So, anyways, getting to the next game, we got Shepherd's Pie. Avocados are entering their second game of the day in this doubleheader for them. They came off a tough loss against the Beach City Bombers, so they're looking to try to stay above in the middle of the pack. Shepherd's Pie has been kind of up and down a few times, but they're missing one guy, so they only have 4 guys on their roster, so it's kind of tough for them, without that extra guy to help them on defense. But in this game, it was a shutout for the. No, I'm sorry, not a shutout. The Avocados won 9-5.
He's losing it, ladies and gentlemen. This one was an interesting ending. Avocados being the home team had a big advantage here. It was a 6-5 ball game, I believe, going into the bottom of the 6th inning. Walk off home run for the Avocados, actually. If I'm not mistaken, it was Nick Faltris had the walk-off home run. If I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was him.
No, I can confirm it was him.
Yeah, he had a big walk-off homer for his 3rd homer of the year. It was one they needed as well. It's one that's going to be a difference maker in the standings. They would have swapped places right here. The Avocados and Shepherd's Pie had the Shepherd's Pie won that game, where Shepherd's Pie would be 2-2 and Avocados would be 2-3. Pretty good game all around. Some good Avocados started figuring out the pitching a little bit. The Shepherd's Pie not the best hitting team so far. So far they have the lowest runs for in Division 1 right now, with 14. Actually, we're second place with 16. Well, that's another story. But they've scored 14 runs so far in 4 games. I've done well. With the pitching. Anthony's been looking good pitching so far. I think he's kind of bounced back a little bit. He had some struggles last in the summer season with pitching. Getting up there. Anthony so far 4.41 ERA, 13 2/3 innings pitched with 24 strikeouts, allowing 10 runs. He's off to a good start. And then Evan White's kind of been has been that second guy. That lefty. You get a little bit of a different motion, a little bit of funky motion, a different look. But he's had a good season so far. We'll come back. We'll talk about more of them in just a minute here. But going back to the Avocados, I mean, we talked about them a lot before. Even got some. They finally had Dan Lukac back for this week. First main week coming back, I believe. So for them, it was good to have someone throwing some more consistent strikes, because even in one of their wins, I know they gave up 13 runs in a 17-13 win. So I think both these teams are going to be 2 of them in the mix fighting for those final playoff spots. Both these teams can do some damage in the playoffs. It's just going to be a matter of Avocados is going to get a big offensive game. The Shepherd's Pie are probably going to have a more low scoring game. So we'll see what happens as we get to that point.
Yeah, definitely, especially for the Avocados. We talked about some of the issues that they got to fix, once we get to the halfway point of the season. They have some really good things going for them. Harvey Hager leads the league in walks. His brother Hayden leads the league in home runs right now. So they have the right recipe to kind of, work with here. Maybe Sardo not as much as well as, he did a season ago. And for the Avocados, being able to walk off in this game is a huge thing. Congrats to Nick Futris. I actually ran into him after the game, and I said they can't give you shit for this entire week because you gave him the walk-off win for this game. So that's being put out there on the record. So Nick, I got you with the chip there. But for the Avocados, it's just like, what can they do with those ingredients and how can they put that together halfway through the season, and what's that going to lead to farther down the road. So this was kind of a big one for them to kind of keep their spot where they currently are in the standings right now. But I do expect them to hopefully turn things around here eventually at some point.
Well, you have more teams, you have less teams in here, and more better teams. So it's going to be tough for them. They still haven't played. Well, they've actually played both the MS Warriors and Purple Huskies. Those have been their two wins, their two losses. But they also beat the two teams below them, Shepherd's Pie and OC Wiffleball. So pretty soon up here they might be playing the Beach City Bombers, Trash Pandas, or Wiffleball C. And so far Wiffleball C have had a lot of success against the Avocabros. So we'll see what happens with that if we were to play each other. We don't have the week 4 schedule as of right now, as of recording this. But they can be a team that shocks some guys. It's just gonna be, is Lucas Sardo gonna find it again on the mound? We had him on the podcast at the end of last season, or during the summer of in between seasons. If he can find his pitching back, I think this team can be set to continue on being having success here in Division 1. They could possibly move up a couple slots to be in that 3-4-5 battle. But they got to be able to find their two best pitchers and kind of ride them.
Yeah, especially, when you're getting to this big chunk of the season where, you got to prove yourself a little bit more. That's just kind of, the thing that we're looking for the most with these teams, especially. So I guess we'll just kind of see what happens later on. But moving on to the second game, Shepherd's Pie playing their second of the doubleheader that they've got, looking to try to get a win against the Purple Huskies, who's always a very tough opponent. Purple Huskies coming off a win against Trash Pandas earlier in the day, but unfortunately Shepherd's Pie could not figure anything out, and Purple Huskies get the shutout win 7-0 in this game.
Yeah, it just seemed like that Shepherd's Pie was just unable to get a lot of hits going here. They couldn't get any offense going. I think that's a couple situations they had some runners on, but just were not able to get around the pitching of Drake Hoffman and Drew Hendrickson. I think those were the main two pitchers. It appears, according to the stats on this past Tuesday night. We all know what the Purple Huskies are going to be. They were undefeated last season. They only lost 3 games the whole year. Once to the MS Warriors in the playoffs, and then twice to the Beach City Bombers in the World Series. So regular season, they're off to another great start. 27 runs for and only 11 against. We'll see what happens as we continue on here. They played the Avocabros and they played Shepherd's Pie already, and they played Trash Panda. So they still have to play the MS Warriors, and we'll see who I believe on any given day those 3 teams can beat and also lose to each other. Those 3 teams being the MS Warriors, Purple Huskies, and the Wiffleball C. And who knows how they could do against a team like the OC Wiffles of LA. You got to see. Will James and Joaquin and Ethan be on that day, or will it be different? James is making a great case for him for Rookie of the Year. We'll talk more about him later. But for Purple Huskies, I mean, they're continuing on a great track for Shepherd's Pie. They had an unfortunate loss just before. It seemed like it just kind of carried over to the second game where things were not the most positive overall. And it was good they allowed 7 runs in this game. They kind of kept the MS Warrior, the Purple Huskies offense at bay, but it wasn't enough to get over the hump, and they ended up losing this one.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when they have 4 guys in there, it's kind of tough when, they hit in places where your defense is not. LA OC had that issue a week ago, being down a guy. We'll talk about them later. They're also down 2 guys in this game as well. But, when you're down an extra guy like that, it kind of puts you in a really puzzling position to kind of figure out, like, okay, this is where you need to be, this is where you got to be to defend the ball, and they hit it in that area, then there's not really much you can do about that stuff either way. So, but I mean, Shepherd's Pie, it's for them, like Anthony Cruz's team has always kind of figured out how to put guys together, make a pretty good team with some of them, and he's got some pretty good players in there. You talked about Evan White a little bit, Raffin in there, and then Trevor Bushley's been in this league for a while now, so they have good experience to kind of figure things out. Who knows? Maybe something might change for them as well. Maybe if they have a guy, an extra guy in there, and have all 5 of them, because there are 5 guys on this team, so anything can switch around pretty quickly in this league. But they just had a tough opponent in the Purple Huskies, and then Avocado that was definitely a tough one to kind of swallow, especially off of the walk-off home run.
Yeah, just unfortunate for them. They're going to be battling in for that 5-6 spot. We'll just see if they're able to get a couple wins when needed. They've already played MS Warriors and Purple Huskies, but they still got to play like Beach City Bombers and LA Sea Trash Man and stuff like that. So their lone win so far is against a team that is below them, and they'll see what's LA. But we'll see what happens in the future with them.
Absolutely. So the next game on our schedule is the rivalry between 2 teams that were splintered at the beginning of this fall 2023 season. The OC Wiffles of LA taking on the LA Wiffles of OC. Both these teams had a pretty friendly match, some friendly banter in there. This was also Dustin Stagg's debut game in this matchup between these 2 teams, and it was a lot closer than I think you and I may have expected. OC Wiffles of LA held the lead for a little bit, and then obviously started chipping away a little bit more, and then LA Wiffles of OC ended up with the victory. 6-5 is the final score. Your thoughts after taking a look at this game?
Yeah, I mean, these are the 2 teams that kind of organized and tried to split them up somewhat evenly. I was very close to putting James Lee on my team, but then with some other people coming in, I thought he would have more chance to be a main pitcher, be more of a star in the league on the other team. My team personally, we've kind of struggled to get 5 guys out there each week. We only had 5 guys out there for the first week, and that was because we had a sub come out, play with us. Maybe the return Austin Cutter will come back for a sub. Who knows? I probably should have. Had I known in time, I might have asked him last week. So we were short 2 guys. We had 4. OC Wolves LA. We were also short a guy missing Joaquin, but they had all their other guys, other main pitchers still. Right away, James Lee gets off to a hot start. Hits an end of the bat home run, and then a jam shot home run to put him up 4-0. And then LA was supposed to see we just kind of worked it back slowly but surely, getting some more runs here and there. I believe Steven went 2 for 3 in this game with 5 walks. Justin Lee also had a home run and a couple other hits. Dylan had a hit. Dustin Staggs had his first hit as part of OC Wiffleball. Which, if you guys don't know who Dustin Staggs is, you can check out his interview from a couple weeks ago. He also runs a medium pitch league in Fullerton. That's more of like you can listen to more of a podcast about it as well. Much closer game than I thought it would be. I think both teams have their full squads and may be different. We kind of struggled to hit the ball in big situations. We would get the guys on pretty much every inning, but then wouldn't be able to bring them in. But at the end of the day, we got the win. We moved to 2-1, where I was sitting in the 3 spot right now. And I think we're still warming up to get ready to continue to have more success out here. I think there's a lot of potential in this LOC team. I think it's going to start coming out pretty soon.
We definitely got to see a little bit more from the OC Wolves of LA, the kind of talent that they've got. I think the biggest part was, not having Joaquin there, so the pitching was a little bit more inconsistent once James Lee kind of got off the mound and all that type of stuff. And then LA Wolves of OC, unfortunately, it's just been like, they've been down a few guys. Some guys have been absent on certain days, and then, obviously guys who've been in this league for a while haven't been figuring out the hitting. For myself, it definitely, was a bigger step to what I'm trying to build up towards, and that was 3 hits, including a home run, which is something I was trying to work on throughout that week. And then the other part was like, I don't want to end up on I don't want to end up on a James Lee, strikeout vid with the pitches and stuff like that. So that was kind of the mentality in that game. But this was kind of more of like a friendly match, obviously, because we know each other on both of these sides. James Lee is having himself a pretty heck of a season thus far. Just starting out in this league, you wanted to talk about him, about his rookie start. Ethan Lee, the pitching maybe not as consistent as we typically see it. And then there was some early struggles a little bit with the pitching at some points too, but they definitely were seeing the ball at some points. But, all in all, this is just, the turnout came out a little bit differently. LA Wolves didn't have their guys, like you said, and this is where things stand right now. So LA Wolves OC in the third spot, and OC Wolves LA need to figure out a winning formula to start getting some wins here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to focus in on James Lee a little here. James Lee is making a big case for himself as Rookie of the Year right now. Has pitched the second most innings in Division I so far. He's at 14 2/3 innings. He's got 26 strikeouts. Has not a whole lot of runs either. If I'm looking at this correctly, I'm looking at the hitting stats. Never mind. So far 14 2/3 innings, 9 runs, 26 strikeouts, a 3.70 ERA. A great start for him. Then hitting wise, in the Fullerton, he's not known as a great hitter in Socal Wiffleball, but out here he's been pretty good so far. 4.67 average, 619 on base percentage, a couple home runs for him, 7 hits, three doubles, a single and a triple. So far, he's had a great start to his OC Wiffleball career. But kind of looking at the leaderboard, he not to toot my own horn a little too much. But so far, Stephen Hayden's right up there, tied for the lead in the hits, tied for the league lead in on base percentage. It's between me and Shaden for both of those. We both have a 750 on base percentage. Pitching numbers aren't quite there for me. I gave up 5 runs in that game. And this gets mentioned every time. Like the runs I give up are always extremely unlucky, and not just in my opinion, but when other people to get a run off of me, they often tell me it's pretty unlucky. James Lee first bat, he hits a home run off the end of his bat. It barely travels over for a home run, and the second home run he hit it nearly hit his bat grip, and it went over and it just barely snuck over for a home run, just out of the reach of Dustin in the outfield. So I got to clean that up a little bit, but I think once we get I think once we'll see and LC Wiffles they get some more consistent hitting throughout the whole lineup, and not just their top 1 or 2 guys. I think both will be in there for some success. A special team like we'll see. Obviously, I think they're one of the top teams that can beat any team in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just kind of the narrative that we have to kind of pay attention to. And, for OC Wiffles LA, hopefully they can turn things around here. They got 1 week to start figuring things out once we get back to the Greater Park. But it'll make a stark difference the kind of environment that you're in. And, being on turf versus on grass is definitely a different environment, especially on different weather days as well. So that's just something that we got to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to talk about a little bit. The thing for those who haven't been in the Great Park, things are going to be much different, especially those people who have had the early games. The wind's blowing and has taken away a good amount of home runs. They're not going to have that issue. There's not going to be that issue as much at the Great Park. So even with my teams, I've kind of told them, you get a home. I'm not putting too much. I'm not putting too much into these first few games, not at the Great Park, because that's not where we're going to be the whole year. We're mainly going to be not going to be in Huntington Beach. We're going to mainly be at the Great Park. So once we get out there, I think we'll start putting some more value into like the hits and the home runs we get, because so far even our team we're pretty low on the home runs right now. I think we have 5 as a team total. Jordan leading the way with 2 home runs in the 1 game he's played, and then for the OC Bullfools of LA, they have 3 home runs, with James having 2 of them, and then Joaquin has 1 as well. So not having Joaquin's been a bit of an issue for them. I think once they get a consistent Joaquin out there and he figures out the rules and stuff, I think that team can take off, and I think we'll see once they get all 6 guys out there. I think they're poised for a big season.
Absolutely. So that's just kind of the thing we'll keep an eye on as we get here to the next week or so. So with the conditions and all that. Anyways, let's get over to Division 2 now. We got some pretty big change-ups in the standings already. We have a new number 1 team in the current standings for Division 2. The OC Seals have reached to the very top, who we'll talk about just in a few moments here. But let's get into it. The first game of the day, Wiffleballs taking on Pacific Thrashers. Pacific Thrashers off to a not so great start. Looking for a win on the day. Wiffleballs come in here 1-1 with the record. They do take the victory in this game against the Pacific Thrashers 7-2.
Yeah, this one was this. I mean, for the Pacific Thrashers, this was a very interesting day for them. Pacific Thrashers actually only had one guy out there for the day, which was Chad French. He was the only player that they had the Pacific Thrashers out there, either to availability or they've had some injuries on the team from what I've heard. And so actually had a couple fill-ins. You had Nicholas Tone in there from Shepherd's Pie. Came to play with the Pacific Thrashers, and then I myself went to play with the Pacific Thrashers as well. We both had to hit with the opposite stance, so to try to make it a little more fair. But this first game, it took a little while for us to get adjusted. Chad actually pitched pretty well on the mound. It was only his second time ever really pitching. He kept it relatively low scoring. I think he only allowed like five runs or so in 3 1/3 innings pitched, I believe it was, or maybe 4 innings pitched, I believe it was. But he's never really pitched wiffleball too much. And for a second time pitching, he was doing pretty well. Just got a little tired near the end. For this game, the Wiffleballs they got off some runs early, and then were able to hold on to that lead. Nick and I were struggling hitting lefty. Well, Nick was righty actually, and I was swinging lefty. I was struggling to hit. Just a lot different timing. I can't grip the bat like a lefty bat. I gotta grip it I gotta have my hands like a righty batter and try to swing lefty, which isn't the easiest. But not a bad game for us for the Pacific Thrashers, but Wiffleballs taking advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely. When you just have one guy out there like that, then you have to bring in the emergency players and have them swing a different way. You're definitely going to get some weird results there, and that's unfortunately just the storyline that we got from this game between Wiffleballs and Pacific Thrashers. And we'll talk about Wiffleballs in a moment here, but this was not their only game on the docket today. And we'll get to that in a second. Anyways, the next game, we got the OC Seals coming in here on a 2-1 record against Whoosh. This was the kind of the battle of the top two teams in Division 2. This one was definitely the complete opposite as what I thought it would be. I thought this game would be a lot closer. But OC Seals took it away against Whoosh. 13-1 is your final score. OC Seals taking first place in Division 2.
Yeah, a big third inning there for the Seals. Getting 5 runs in the third really kind of started breaking it open. Whoosh just didn't really have the bats going. The pitching of Zach Ireland and has been great for them so far. Zach Ireland is also committed. Was also committed to USC for baseball. He's had a great start to the season. Only allowed 1 run in 18 innings pitched. He's off to a very good start, and then it's kind of a mix. Whoever they go with that second guy, I believe in this one, I don't remember exactly who they went with, but he was able to not allow many runs. Literally, the Whoosh didn't get a run until 2 outs in the 6th inning. This game was actually edited and posted on YouTube if you want to check it out, but. OC Seals got started early. They started getting going right away, and in a 1-2 matchup, you don't expect it to kind of be that lopsided. But the OC Seals are really putting some big hitting numbers so far. 421 batting average as a team. Braden Salzman off to a very good start with a 643 average, but we'll talk more about them. in a little bit. But for Whoosh, they're still right there. Not a good start for them. We'll see, but they got another game coming up. We'll see what happens with that.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, the OC Seals, in their second game of the doubleheader today, they're taking on the Pacific Thrashers, who are obviously, like you said, just down to one guy. So you had the backups in there as well. But OC Seals get their second win of the day, 10-0 in this shutout game against the Pacific Thrashers, and they advance to get another dub for themselves and keeping them afloat on top of the rankings and the standings for Division 2.
Yeah, this one moved them up to the top. Was to the top. They're a half game ahead of Wiffleballs, who are 3-1. This was actually a very close game. Chad and Nick were pitching pretty well. It was actually only 2-0 going into the fifth inning. Actually, it was 0-0 after 3 innings actually. So the fact that kind of the reserve team at that point with Pacific Thrashers, they were doing a good job keeping it close, and then the fifth inning things started breaking open. The OCCO started hitting the ball. I came and pitched a little bit to try to close things out, but they still got 10 runs in the inning, and then make it a 10-0 ball game. No, I just couldn't hit that lefty. I think I had a couple diving, was hitting a couple times that I had got 2 balls in play, and both of them were made with diving catches, I believe. So. It's one of those. It was unlucky, but Seals are so far off to a great start. Really, I mean, they're showing they're one of the top teams Division 2. We'll see how long they can hold on. I've heard there's some availability issues with Zach Ireland being there for the whole season, or possibly another guy in there. So we'll see what happens with that. But so far, great start for the OC Seals.
Yeah, their numbers are absolutely, like, some of the guys on their squad, absolutely insane. You talked about earlier, Zach Ireland with, the 0.33 ERA, 39 strikeouts, and 13 strikeouts per, was it 6 innings on there. And then Braden Salzman is kind of basically on the top of almost every single, batting stat there. 8 home runs, leads the Division 2 singles, total of 9, leads Division 2. His hits, 15, leads Division 2. And then, OPS is right up there, very close to Brian Garza, but a 2.2333 OPS is astronomically crazy. But that's just kind of the talent that the OC Seals have kind of shown throughout the these last couple of games, and they definitely showed out in these last 2 games. And speaking of which, OC Seals got the videos going on, so if you want to check that out, like Steven said, go you can definitely look it up on youtube.com, I believe,
or don't I'm kidding. I can do some comic relief there. Sorry.
Unsubscribe, report the vid. No, I'm just kidding.
That's probably what Whoosh is doing right now.
That's true. They don't want to forget about that.
I should do that. That's my third team. What am I doing?
Yeah, don't you mean Ellie Wolf's the OCC team? Anyways, they got that video. I'm sure they'll talk about that later.
You hear that, Donald? He said it, not me.
Anyways, so that's up on YouTube. Just look up OC Wiffleball Week 3. I'm sure it's probably one of the first ones that show up. But as the OC Seals say, flap those flippers, I guess. And they're off to a pretty good start this season at the very top, Division 2, King of the Hill currently.
See how long they can hold that.
That's probably kind of the story that we're talking about. Like you said, Zach Island has some availability issues, so we'll just kind of keep our eyes close to that and see whether that's going to be a thing this season or not. Anyways, moving on to the next game, we've got Wiffleballs taking on Whoosh. This is also kind of a fight for some top seeded spots in the standings. This was also a pretty big surprise. So Whoosh actually do fall to Wiffleballs in this game, and that puts Whoosh pretty low in the standings now as opposed to where they were at a week ago. And now the Wiffleballs take the second spot in the standings after this victory. Your final score is 9-4.
Yeah, Whoosh had a little bit of a fall here. They started in the 1 seed and then dropped all the way to the 5 seed after this game. I mean, Whoosh still having a good season though. team average of 369. I know these two games they weren't hitting as much, but they're still they got to build off a lot of that very first the second game against the Pacific Thrashers when it was their first ever game. But pitching wise, Donald's been looking good out there. Numbers aren't the best, but I think he's had some bad luck out there as well. If you watch the video with them against OCC, as you can see, what I believe it would have been the third out, but then it was a simple ground ball just missed, kind of Ethan Lee style. But so far, yeah, Drew playing out there again. I think he's just figuring out the pitching and stuff. I think the league's a bit different from when he was last in here, because he was actually a good, pretty good pitcher when he was in here in the spring of 2023. And you still had Owen Schur as well. Not a lot of runs allowed so far. So I think it might be a similar situation to the Avocados where you really got to lock in that main pitching, kind of try to keep the runs lower, play good defense, and just get guys to chase and get them to swing and miss and things like that. So, but overall, I think Woosh can be right back in there for the hunt. And then as for Wiffledees, they built off their kind of their warm up game almost, and then the first game against the depleted Pacific Thrashers, and they're really just keeping the runs low. You got Chris Garza and Alex Harris combining, doing very well. 2.25 ERA for Alex Harris, 3.27 for Chris Garza. They've done a great job of just keeping the run limits low. Really just keeping themselves in games to get those big hits, because they do have a good team. They do have a good team average, and actually Brian Garza, I believe he has missed a week, but he's off to a great start. 10 hits and 13 real at bats with 5 walks as well. So he's off to a great start. But we'll see. These are two of the top teams, and we'll see how these teams stand after as we get closer to the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Wiffledees has really made a notice for themselves in Division 2, picking themselves up like this, and now they've got Chris Garza, Alex Harris, like you said. The pitching has been holding up pretty good for them. It looks like they figured out a good formula to kind of keep themselves in that race, and I think they may become that contender for Division 2. If Wiffledees. If Whoosh doesn't come back up towards the top of the standings, but it might get competitive here pretty soon at some point, and it definitely is. And once we get to this next game, we got a team that we can talk about there as well. And, by the way, I'll just get into it anyways. 47ers taking on Bad News Dingers. This one was actually pretty close for this game. 47ers do come out with the victory 2-1 against the Bad News Dingers, and this puts the 47ers in the 3rd seed of the Division 2.
Yeah, for the 47ers, they're starting to figure stuff out. They were to get through a low-scoring game and come out with a victory. Didn't see this one too much because we were playing our own game at the same time. But Bad News Dingers, once they get the offense going a little more, I think they can be right in the mix. They've scored a lot of runs in some of their earlier games, but in this game, we needed a few more runs. They were unable to do that. I believe in one of their earlier games they scored a lot. Yeah, they had a game where they lost 16-18. So 16 of those 28 runs they scored so far came in a loss. So they have 12 runs. They have scored 11 in their first game in the win. But for this game they just were not able to get the runs across. I think they had a couple close chances, from what I've heard, but unable to get the job done. But the 47ers they're figuring things out. It's a group of younger guys, so some friends in there as well. Pitching wise, they're keeping the ERA low. They have a team ERA of 4.56. Their main pitcher, Jake Gack, so far 12 innings pitched with 2 runs allowed and giving him a 1 ERA. So he's off to a great start. And then hitting wise for the team, they're figuring some stuff out hitting wise. But you got Brendan Gallardo leading the way in terms of average and on base percentage. I think probably for them it's going to be just mainly keeping games low scoring. They have a good chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Geck, for the 47ers. That might eventually become, their number one pitcher, on that side of things, and maybe they can figure out a good recipe here to kind of get things started here. 47ers are just one of those new teams that has entered the league here, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. So I haven't really seen them in person. But they were playing, when we were playing against OC Wiffles of LA, so I didn't really get a chance to see it. But they have a pretty good group of guys. It looks like they got some talent on there, some previous baseball experience. So I think they're just here, they'll be here to figure things out. They might translate into a story like the Trash Pandas did during the summer. And that could be just kind of a personal prediction that I've got for that. But for Bad News Dingers, we see them a lot of times. It seems like Division II is kind of the perfect fit for them. Joe Reese, Shea McCoy, the top two pitchers on their team, have been holding things pretty well so far. But, it's just, this game was very low scoring. 2-1 was the final score. And just like, we'll see kind of where these two teams kind of stand later on, because they're kind of a question mark in my mind about, where the talent wise, like how far they'll go with these group of guys that they have on their roster.
Yeah, these teams. It's still pretty early on in the season, so we got to see where things go. But especially those top five teams are kind of mixed in with each other. We haven't seen Brothers of Bashak there yet. Pacific Thrashers are figuring stuff out right now, and just trying to make sure they get the right guys and make sure they shove guys there. But at that top five, you could make a case for any of those guys winning a championship. I could think of three in particular, which I won't mention, but I could see any of those five teams possibly being able to come out on top in the championship. So we'll see what happens with that.
Absolutely, and we'll just kind of keep a close eye. But that kind of does it for Division II, and we can move on to the fun league, which is the Purple League. Obviously, we had a couple, a new team from last week with Joey Ponder creating the famous now Glizzy Gladiators.
Are they famous?
Joey Ponder would wish they are.
I don't know. According to the Instagram, he's in your head, Justin.
Oh yeah, apparently living rent free, because that totally is how that works.
Joey. I'm speaking directly to Joey Ponder. You are rent free in his head. We were just talking about this right before we were filming the podcast. He was like, yeah, he was trying to show me the different ways he was going about trying to make fun of you. So, he's got some stuff he's worked on for Tuesday for you, Joey.
Okay, well, I got something for him when we play him later on against the Purple Huskies. So, here we go.
You hear that? He said that, not me. Those are fighting words, though.
I'll see you when we play you, Purple Huskies.
Just make sure, Joey, that make sure you start against us. Since that way, Justin, if you start, I will have Justin bat lead off, so you can face each other right away.
If Joey Ponder comes up to bat, I want to pitch against him.
And what are you gonna do? Just peg him?
I want to strike him out. Wait, you don't believe me?
Good one.
Wow. Good one. My team captain, guys. My team captain.
Want to look back at your ERA from last year?
I don't need to strike out their team. I just need to strike out Joey. That's all I need to do. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, lock your seatbelts in, get prepared. LA Wiffles of OCU versus Purple Huskies. Here we come. Anyways, moving on to the Purple League stuff. We got the first game on our schedule. The Glizzy Gladiators and the Sheeps taking on each other. These are typically, and that we've seen so far, some very high-scoring games, and that's exactly what this one was. 17-15. A huge run-up of the score here. A total of 32 runs in this game. And, if you had a chance to see this, what were your thoughts about this game?
If you took the over in this, and in a lot of these purple games, I think you'd win more times than not. There's a lot of runs being scored here in a lot of these games. For the Glizzy Gladiators, Shelby's been pitching pretty well, actually. 3 innings pitched, 2 runs allowed, especially when you compare it to her team captain and Joey Ponder, who has in 2 innings pitched, he's allowed 12 runs according to the stats. So with a 36 ERA, he's not off to the best start, but and then you have the sheeps in there as well. You got to make sure guys and girls pitching in there as well. And both these teams they're hitting extremely well. These are the top two teams going into the standings and into this week, and they still are the top two teams after this week. Given the result of the next game, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But both these teams seem to be more the top teams right now. We'll see who comes out in the Purple League.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Glizzy Gladiators, they got some pretty top guys on their side of things. That if you look at the leaderboard, their name shows up pretty much towards the top three. Kyle Froome is leading in some departments on that sheet with the leagues leaderboards and whatnot. Glizzy Gladiators do put themselves in the number 1 seed after being showing up for the first time a week ago, and quickly they are the top seeded team in the Purple League, and that's exactly where it just kind of stands right now. So we'll just kind of see, down the road, can Joey Ponder keep his people together and get a win here in the Purple League? Maybe they'll get he'll get his first championship ring in his entire career. So we'll just kind of see what happens with that.
You see, Joey, you're run free in his head.
Anyways, moving on to the next one, we got the Pancake Batters and Wiffleball taking on each other. I didn't know this was a thing that could possibly happen, but we have a tie game alert here with 11 all for both teams. Nobody came away with a victory, so it looks like we've got ties in this game. So officially, if you look at the standings, Wiffleball and Pancake Batters have a 1-2-1 record.
Yeah, this game was actually the one. This was going on right before our teams played each other. This one did take a while. It was a bit of a comeback from Wiffleball to make it a tie game. But yeah, it looks like that's going to be a thing in the Purple League where you can't have ties, which it makes sense. You don't want to try to continue it too much from in another week or something like that. Pretty close game. I think all four of these teams are relatively even matched. I think any of these teams could come out and win against each other. So as the season goes on, these teams will continue to play each other more and more. Looks like probably more just be once each week now that we have the set of 4 teams with Glizzy Gladiators stepping in for the Revenge of the Nerds, who ended up having to pull out of the league. So we'll see where this league goes. Yeah,
definitely. Just I've never seen that before. Having a tie game. I guess that's just kind of circumstances. It was getting late, so the lights would have been out by the time we finished our game. If that started whatsoever. But it's just for a fun thing. It's not really meant for like, oh my gosh, we're gonna make this super competitive. It's a co-ed league. It's just for fun. So,
I might.
You might. Okay. Are you gonna make a team next season?
Maybe I'll just recruit from Westcliff. Who knows?
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of,
since I'm at school, I'll go find some softball players and we'll make a team. Make a team. Just try to destroy everybody.
Oh, I don't know if the coach would be happy about that, because she was gonna make a team for this season, but it ended up not happening. So she actually had to fit in with another team.
That's player number 1.
Yeah.
on my team.
Oh, number 1.
I'm making a trade. I'm trading Justin. I'm trading Justin for Vanessa.
Wow. But yeah, Vanessa's on a different team for this season, so that's just what happened. But I mean, maybe in the wintertime we'll get a chance to see the softball team. Unfortunately, I think 2 of them were committed, but they have some scheduling issues with school and whatnot. It's what I heard from Coach Vanessa about that, trying to get the inside scoop on there. But that does it for the Purple League stuff. And everyone else, if you want to check out the standings, remember, OrangeCountyWiffleball.com has got all of your information for leaderboards, stats, and the standings. And we've got a pretty good couple of games coming up as we get back to the Great Park, our home, so to speak, and then we've got the award ceremony coming up as well. So that's 2 things to look forward to as we get here into week 4.
Yeah, you're gonna get some exciting times. Get some we got to see exactly what the trophy is. We've seen some trophies like the ones I have behind me that are plaques. We've seen some stuff where it's a mug. The trophy's gonna be something different this year. So we will find out on Tuesday what those are. That'll be taking place at around 8:30. So if you have a 7:30, 6:30, 7:30 game, please stick around. So you can either receive your award if you think you might have won, or you can just see who won the awards and stuff like that. But those will be taking place at 8:30, and the 8:30 games will start a little later because of that, and they'll have to start pretty quickly and go pretty quickly because we don't have as much time on the field. So please stay out, enjoy, spend some time mingling with the rest of the league, kind of getting a good idea of who everyone is, and you can kind of see who some of the better players are of the league based off the awards that they win. So you can have some conversation about that. You can. Will I be getting my first MVP award? We've discussed it here a while, and also a lot of other awards, but we shall find out this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's just come week 4, we will have those award winners. We'll talk about them a little bit on the podcast next week as well, just to highlight that achievement for them and to see like if that's what came of the predictions that we had. If you haven't seen those predictions for the award winners, go back pretty while back actually, like I think episode 16 or 17 or something like that. But yeah, anyways, we'll get to figure out.
Please do that. That's one of our lowest viewed episodes as well. Please check it out. Please.
We're desperate.
We're making pennies over here.
Please subscribe to our channel too. We're dying. Anyways,
Oh, whoa. That was kind of dark. Wow.
We're gonna be homeless on the street. We don't make any money off of this podcast show, guys. We need you to subscribe and help the channel out, or we will disappear like the Thanos snap. Okay, anyways, enough of depressing stuff.
Move on, please.
We're gonna move on here. We finally have finished the week 3 stuff. You mentioned you wanted to talk about your series with the Socal Wiffleball, the Sharks Beach series video. If you haven't seen it, go check out on SocalWiffleball.com. Socal Wiffleball. Sorry, Socal Wiffleball YouTube. Yes. Series 7, Cobras versus the Sharks. I'll let you kick it off. What would you like to talk about with that?
Yeah, so this was our special series. Hopefully, Justin will actually leave a link to this one or put a picture of this one, so you guys can go check it out if you want to. So this was the Sharks special series of the year. We went to Huntington Beach, to Balboa Beach, all the way down at the end of Balboa Beach to go play this game. Had the field set up. Had some issues with it. There are some camera issues going on, some focusing issues because of the wind and other stuff. And some of the play was interesting, but that was our special series, our second regular season series of the year, and things went pretty good out there. To give you guys a time reference for that, the day we played this series, it was I'd have to go look back. It was middle of June. So I went and played in this series. This was around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I ended up finishing around like 6:45, 6:50, and I drove straight over to the Great Park to go play our wild card game versus the Trash Pandas that same day. So to kind of give you a time frame for when these happened, when these games actually happen in real life versus when they go online. This one happened all the way back in the middle of June. I want to say June 11th. I gotta look at a calendar. June 20th. It was June 20th in real time was when this happened, because I drove over. We played the series. We played our wild card game against the Trash Pandas, and then we ended up losing that one. But this was a different story. So if you got any questions for me, go for it. I'll kind of go with stuff as we go along here. If there's anything you don't mention, I will talk about it.
Okay. Well, let's just go step by step with it then. Just kind of talk about, every big moment that happened. The one thing I wanted to talk about was the opening video. I don't know if you saw it, with the guys standing on both sides of the field. It looked like they had just 2 guys, if I'm not mistaken, in that opening shot.
Some teams they do kind of struggle to get enough people out there. This is a situation for the Cobras. They had two guys and they had a sub filling in there as well. It was funny if I had to give the sub a ride in order to get there, and then in order for him to be there. Otherwise, they would have only had two people for real. That's how it kind of is. He also has a group of subs in case there's a date in which there's a team cannot provide enough guys. There'll be a video later on in which I believe a team only has one player and they have two subs playing with them. So that I think that's the case, but that'll come out later.
Okay, absolutely. I guess we'll just kind of see what happens there. How about Nick Rossetti in that leadoff home run in the very first inning?
Yeah. Nick Rossetti was great on this day. He arguably, I think, it was a toss up. I think between me and him on who would have been the Trek player of the series. I led things off the leadoff home run right away. Also pitched very well during the day, and then ended up having the walk in game two. Game two was very interesting. Very unlucky for us. We should have probably won by about 7-8 runs, but we ended up winning by one on a walk-off walk. But that was very interesting in that. But Nick Rossetti, this was his breakout series for him. He's a guy. Our question mark's kind of been our second pitcher, and having that big second batter. And that day he started to show that he can be that guy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's just he kind of let off things pretty strong. You had the day starting off in the first game with the pitching, and then you guys come away with a crazy victory with 13 runs all in all. And then
funny story with Nick Rossetti. So he was talking to Dustin like a couple minutes before. He's like, "You're really gonna have to hit one hard in order to hit a home run." And he said like, "I'm not sure anyone's gonna really hit a home run out here today." And then the third pitch of the game, he does that. So
kind of proves everything wrong.
Add a little something extra on there. It's just like, who would have thought?
Yeah, he's like, well, that's how you do it. Just get a leadoff home run and show everybody, hey, you can hit a home run out in this field.
And there were multiple hit out here.
Yeah. Talk about a little bit about the pitching stuff. 2 wins on the day that were credited to you. The second game, obviously, they had 2 home runs in that game. But getting the walk-off victory as well. Talk about those 2 performances a little bit.
Yeah, my pitching it wasn't the best on this day. Actually, we've been at the beach a good number of times for OC Wiffleball, and especially this last All-Star game, everyone could kind of could tell the difference between pitching at the Great Park and pitching at the beach. With this, you had to. This was even harder, to be quite honest. Because we were playing on the actual sand versus with OC Wiffleball we're playing in the grass still, so we still have some solid foundation under us.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt the pitching mat move a lot. It would move like it would either twist to the left or right, or sometimes the whole thing would just move. So it was a little bit of a struggle, especially early on. I think I walked in 2 runs in the first inning, including walking in the first 3 I walked the first 3 batters I faced. Luckily, we had built up enough of a lead to where it didn't matter. But it wasn't my best pitch. Wasn't my best pitching day. But I'm putting that more down to the area around us, because I also went in the playoff game. I pitched 4 innings and got 12 strikeouts and maybe allowed 1 hit. So I think it was more down to the environment, because everyone was struggling pitching a little bit, apart from like Nick Rossetti.
Okay, definitely, yeah. I mean, you got the other team. Nolan Jackson gets a home run. Jose Rojo's the sub, right? And then he gets a home run as well. You're talking about the conditions a little bit, on the sand and whatnot. Was there any crazy moment that you can recall from that game that was just like whoa? That's just kind of the whole detail about playing in the sand and whatnot.
Yeah. There are a few I can think of. Pretty early on in the very first inning, the first game, I'm rounding second, going to third, and I lose my footing, and and kind of start like crawling over to third base. I mean, to get there in time. I slipped going from the base back to the sand. Another one going to the second game now. I also had about three. I think it was like three balls that I probably hit the ball about 150 feet, but it was foul. I absolutely crushed a few balls, but they weren't close. Still with the first game. First game, I thought I had a home run in the first inning. I think that was second inning. And it went off the top of the fence. It was like, and it stayed in play. It ended up being a single, and I ended up getting out at home. It's like, okay, it's not much I can do. The wind took that one back.
Yeah.
The second game, to end the first inning, I want to say, the first inning, I hit a line drive to Richard Jaime, who just like sticks. I don't know if it was one-handed or two-handed, but he just kind of stuck his hand out and caught the ball. He said he got his finger caught in the ball when he caught it. And he said his hand hurt for a couple days because I looked at the radar, and hopefully you can put that video in now of me hitting that line drive. I looked at the radar, and the radar it came up with a 95 miles per hour. So I think I hit that ball 95 miles per hour, and he caught it. And that would have been about he probably been about like 45 50 feet away when he caught that. So 45 50 feet catching that ball at 95 miles an hour, that's ridiculous. And then the home run I gave up in the very last inning, we were winning 3-1 going to the top of the third inning. I came in because Nick Rossetti was out of innings. I can't, at the beach with OC Wiffleball, I kind of discovered this, like, if I go submarine and go with like a right playing fastball, it worked pretty well. It's actually striking out a bunch of guys in OC Wiffleball. But here I tried throwing that pitch again, and I need to stop throwing a fastball in SoCal Wiffleball. It's been a mistake because people are seeing it too well. You'll see with the Sharks next series that was an issue. That was an issue there with that same pitch. I kind of realized after that series, I was like, okay, I need to stop just throwing a straight pitch. These guys are too good and are going to be able to hit it. Those are some of the kind of the weird stuff that happened. There was a bunch of other stuff not involving me. I mean, yeah. Okay. I want to know your thought. I want to know your thoughts on this one.
Okay.
So it's let me. This was about it's about 9 minutes and 40 seconds into the video. Jared Tapia, bases are loaded, 1 out. Jared Tapia hits a slow ground ball to the third base side. I'm sprinting home, and I get called out at home. I want you to put that video in as well. I want the people to try to tell me on Tuesday if I was safe or not, because I was 100% sure I was safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
was so shocked I got called out in the first place, and then they went to review and still said I was out. And that was one of the first times I've ever been so confident about a call and ended up being not going the way I thought. I'm still. I mean, looking at the video now, I'm still shocked I was called out.
So the rule is the ball has to hit the net before the runner touches the plate, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Judging from my judgment, it definitely looks like you're safe. Because the ball, I see the kind of, where the ball hits the net, as opposed by the time the ball has hit the net, it looks like you're already past, like way past the plate. But, I guess I don't know what kind of judgment was happening there. I don't know how they kind of process the reviews and whatnot over there. So, from where I understand from a viewpoint, it looks like you're safe. But I guess it's just you were talking about it before, the weird unlucky stuff in that game where you guys could have put up more runs, and I guess it's just how things kind of turned out.
Yeah. Like there's two things I was certain. I was certain that one ball was going to be a homer that hit the top of the fence, and I was pretty certain I was safe because then we wouldn't have had to go to the bottom of the third inning after the home run I gave up and made it a tie game. And we ended up walking off. I almost had a walk-off hit or play in the third inning, but I I just got on top of it and ended up being a ground ball that was made. Well, the third inning was for sure not, but that second inning, I was so certain I was safe. But the last, we ended up getting the 2 wins. Sharks now sit at 4-0, and I did win Shark Player of the Series, I guess.
I see. Well, I mean, you guys still came up with the victory, so you can't really much argue with that. A win is still a win, so I guess that's just how things are. So coming out away with a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, we sweep the series 2-0. We sit atop of the division with at 4-0. There's still another series to be played. Actually, no, not in our division. So the American. So after this series in the American League division, we sit at 4-0, and then all the other teams sit at 1-3. So we're 3 games ahead of everybody, going into our next series versus the Pacific Panthers, that'll be me versus Dustin.
Ooh, that'll be a good matchup. Two LA Wolves OC members playing against each other.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup in real time. This happened way before I even thought he considered coming to play with us. But this will probably come out in about a month or so. We'll talk about Socal Wiffleball again. This one was some very good Wiffleball in there from both sides. So I think this is going to be one that you guys like. And but I continue after the series. I won Trek Player of the Series again, and I continue. I'm really kind of in that based off the standings. I was in number 1 for MVP standings and number 1 for a lot of stats, but didn't have the best stats on the day. But I'm still continuing to do pretty well, and I think my guess is that by the time the slate after this next series, there'll be some rankings that come out. I would be surprised if I'm not number 1 in the MVP or at least number 2. I'll definitely be in the top 2. I'd be surprised if I'm not number 1 for the MVP rankings as of now.
All right, well, I guess that's something we got to just keep an eye on, and that's what we'll be talking about on the podcast show in the near future. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, if you guys want to check out more Wiffleball, go to the Socal Wiffleball page. We had Dustin Staggs, who's the commissioner of the league, and also plays with the LA Wolves of OC on my team. In OC Wiffleball, he's the guy that runs this league and puts these videos up. So check out more of these. There'll be more of these up in the future, and the Sharks will probably play next in about a month or so. It'll be somewhere over the next couple weeks, I'd say. It just depends on the upload schedule.
I guess we'll just see. They're kind of working on those videos a little bit, so no, I was just playing around with the card pack a little bit.
Okay. I thought you were eating. I wasn't looking. I was like, you disrespectful.
And just like I'm like over here, just like, can you just hurry up? Just like, anyways, I guess that's it for whatever we had to share with our stories today. We got week 3 already done with. We've got our Sharks B Series video out of the way. It looks like we're just getting ready for week 4. That's coming up really, really fast on Tuesday. Remember, that's awards night. And if you have not subscribed already, make sure you guys subscribe to the Hunky Dory Sports Show official YouTube page. If you got anything else you want to say, Steven, now is the time before we end our episode 21 here.
You still got the Big A Series, the Tailgate and Angels game tickets are still available. If your team is available for that to play in that Saturday series, let Anthony know. Otherwise, or if you just want to go to the game or tailgate, you can sign up for those online. You can either get a tailgate ticket or an Angels game ticket, or you can combine them both. The Angels game ticket will actually come with 10. You can get like a $10 food credit in the stadium as well, so you can get food while you're in there as well. So that'll be nice. You also get $10 towards Angels food as well. So make sure you use it. Other than that, we'll back at the Great Park for this week. Get to see some award winners coming up, and we'll continue on over here doing what we do. So other than that, I think we'll keep this one a little bit shorter. These podcasts seem to be pretty long in general because we're talking about so many games, but this week we don't have too much to talk about, so we'll keep this. We'll save everyone some time and make sure everyone that that people the diehards don't have to suffer through this anymore.
Well, I mean, most people just look through the transcripts, right? Like Zach Moore and Tyler Moore. That's just kind of their thing. Just when they figure out where they are in the podcast, watch it, and then they're done with it.
Yeah, I've been struggling to find the transcripts working. Maybe it's just me, but the transcripts haven't been working for me.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's something I gotta look into. Well, anyway,
maybe you should disable the transcripts.
He's messaged me about that before, and I'm like, I'm not messing with you, dude. I don't know, maybe they just haven't processed or something like that. So, I don't know what to tell. Idea. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, Tyler Moore.
That way you have to force them to listen the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, which is kind of what I've been doing.
Just skip 10 seconds. Skip.
Tyler Moore. Yeah, basically. Well, anyways, I guess that will do it for us on episode 21 of That Scuffed Up. We'll see you guys next week with episode 22. And like we said, we'll keep things short for this one. And we'll see you guys at week 4 when we're out there on the fields. Everybody have a great day. This has been Justin Lee and Stephen Hayden for That Scuffed Up. We shall see you guys next time.
Fins up, baby. Sharks up.